King Kavo, huh? Heavy's the head that wears the crown, they say. Ars hominis audacia. That's a big motherfucking word. What's up, guys? This is the second day of painting, the first real day of painting the Fudo Myo-O. This is my main reference. I'm using the statue because there are many different pictures artistically of this guy here, and I wanted to go with a statue as a main reference point so that I'm not really trying to steal much from someone else's art. Not that sculpture isn't art. But that was the one that I mainly looked for, and then I just went at it. I didn't use it, didn't look at it, and just sort of painted it. This right here is another representation of Fudo Myo-O, another statue. There are going to be a few other references here, so you can kind of get an idea that he is seen in many different styles and forms and art, and I didn't even want to try and, just copy one thing. You can even see, tattoos, which is where I first was introduced to this guy about, 1997-ish, I believe it was. It was in some flash that I was doing for a customer that, they wanted something with Japanese, and they liked that particular guy, this guy, Fudo Myo-O, and I just did the flash on his thigh. It was a pretty nice piece. I wish I had pictures of it, but, that was a long, long time ago. Kind of curious how that tattoo looks today. It was one of my earliest ones, so. But that's where I got the first introduction to this guy, was in the tattoo world, and so I was very excited to get to do this painting because first, it's something where I can kind of paint out of my head. Like I said, as you see, I'm just, painting this. I'm using a watery black paint, and as you can see, the canvas is kind of dark, I want my light colors to be able to jump, and I want to be able to see, but I know this painting here, as I'm doing this, is going to be a bit difficult for you to see, but if you peep the shine through the wet areas, you can kind of see what's going on. At the end, I'll put a photo up and you can see where I am in this stage. I'm not really a Fudo Myo-O expert. I'm not gonna try and fake the funk there and be like, oh, I know this and I know that. Like I said, my introduction with him was brief many, many years ago, and I understand who he is. I've seen many tattoos with him, and so me painting him is kind of fun because, it's kind of touching back on something from my past, and then at the same time, allow me to be fresh and new, but then at the same time, doing something that's, a fun characterization. So a good friend of mine asked me to do this, and it was like, yeah, I can't wait to do this because, I can kind of, like I've said, I can kind of just be me and run with this. Like I said, I'm not an expert on Fudo Myo-O by any means. What I could tell you is that basically, he is one of several Japanese gods. Like it's Buddhism is what it is, and there's a group of them called the Myo-O, and basically it's like Buddha transforming into its angriest rendition, and this particular one would be perceived, I guess, as the angriest of them all. Although, I think that's kind of one of those things, kind of like me, looking at me, I'm a giant bear and I'm scary, but, I'm really not that scary once you get to know me. Fudo Myo-O is a dark skinned, usually you see him in dark blue skin, or I've even seen him in purple skin, but sometimes I've seen him where he's, black skin, you know what I mean? He has a sword in his right hand, and the sword is basically there to cut through delusion and confusion. It's not really a weapon. It's there to kind of help you. If you're someone who follows and worships Fudo Myo, that sword is there to kind of cut through the bullshit, basically, to help you see things clearly. And he's a protector, so he's going to also protect you with that sword from things, being hidden from you, that you can kind of get to see those things. And in his left hand, he has a rope or a lasso, depending on how you want to view it. And basically, the rope is, I've heard a couple different things where it's there to, lasso goodness and bring good things to you. And then I've also heard that it's there kind of as a way, as a means, the rope to rope in people to Buddhism. But he's a protector of Buddhism, so that's kind of like his means to save the world, is to rope them in with this rope. He sits on a rock, and he is known as the immovable one. And basically, what that means, he's unmoved. He looks kind of ferocious, and certain things have certain meanings. And obviously, without getting deeper into the whole Buddhism thing, I'm going to be kind of at a loss for trying to explain the details of those things, besides just my layman's terms. And I'm not going to go and try and research all of that information just so that I can pass it on to you here. If you are interested in this character, this deity, I suggest you go and Google it. There's quite a lot of information out there on this person, before you decide to maybe get a tattoo of him. But he's very popular in the tattoo world. He's, like I said, he's a god of a protector, and he sits on a rock, and that rock basically is kind of like him, being an unmovable thing. He looks pretty angry, but honestly, he really isn't angry in that place. It's just sort of a front, not really to say a front, but it's it's like me. I got that mean mug, that resting angry face, and on my face I look like I'm about ready to blow up, but in my mind I'm thinking about what kind of cake I feel like eating. You know what I mean? But that's kind of what's going on with this guy, except that he's a protector. And from what I understand, it's very popular with the samurai, and subsequently very popular with the Yakuza, who are very heavily tattooed. And so those things are kind of one of, like I said, my first introduction was when I first started doing tattoos. And, obviously you get into studying things like the Yakuza, and you notice that a lot of them have this particular deity as a tattoo, in one form or fashion or another. Like, the last photo I showed, in that, that guy had his whole back done. To give you an understanding that there's a word in Japanese called iretsume, and that means tattoo. But when you have your whole body tattooed, it means horimono, and it's all one piece. You know what I mean? So it's like a lifetime dedication to getting that whole thing done. And from some people that I was acquainted with many years ago that had these things, it was always, in America, is how many tattoos do you have? And for them, there was, I only have one, but that one tattoo's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of, painstaking work done, where, most Americans don't really dedicate themselves to that level of getting, a tattoo. And, when it comes to the characterization, a lot of times, Americans really don't really know what's going on with these characters. They just see them on someone else's skin, and they think it's cool. And it's cool in some places, it is, if you understand and do your research as to what you're getting. But if not, maybe it's not a good idea for you to, put a sleeve towards this, or a back piece, or especially a back piece, or, but, to each his own. If you came in my shop and asked me for this, I would have tattooed it for you. I would have done my best to find out what I could about the person and make sure that you and the concept jive, and then we'd sit down, and then I'd hit you up for a couple hours worth of needle time. But and then you'd walk out with a God of Protection tattoo on your forearm that will hopefully guide you and protect you your whole life, or at least be a nice conversation piece. But it's just one of those things, again, where do your research, especially if it's going to be something where it's yours forever. On this, I did a fair amount of research so that I knew what I was getting into as far as what the art was supposed to look like, because, I'm doing this as my representation, but at the same time, I have to be true to the image. You know what I mean? If I painted the Incredible Hulk and I painted him plaid, someone's going to have an issue with it, So I needed to make sure that what I was doing when it came time to paint this was that I knew that I had all of the key elements in there, the lasso, the rope, the skin color, what's going on with him, the fire around him, the halo. The fire consumes all the evil in the world, and the halo is a representation of him being a deity. But they have festivals where they go to the temples and they write on pieces of wood and pieces of paper their wishes, and they burn them, and they believe that the fire and the smoke carries these wishes up to Fudo Myo. Um, if you guys have any questions about Fudo Myo, feel free to ask me as much, and I'll see what I can do as far as getting the information to you. But this is going to be a series of videos where I'm painting this, and so as I go through it, I'm not going to in every video explain who Fudo Myo is. It's not going to be a lesson every time. It's just me getting the information to you in this particular one, because this is where you can kind of see what's going on and how I'm starting and what everything is. And then the videos subsequently that are going to follow are just going to be me painting this and enjoying this and sharing this with you. And I'll be discussing all kinds of things, whatever comes to mind. I'll be sharing my brain with you for the time that I have during painting. Most of what I will do, I will be speeding through it and not kind of keeping it one-to-one time. The last couple videos needed to be that so that you can see exactly what I was doing and have a better understanding. You can see here that I've outlined this in about 13-14 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, where I'll be starting to do some color. Thank you. The Audacity of Art by King Cabo. That's what heavy is the head to wear the crown in this motherfucker. Check out the new digs. That looks pretty nice. Praise the Lord. Cash App your boy. We accept donations. Thank you, motherfuckers, for watching. Amen.